Welcome, Howard. And if you're okay to go, can we start?
Thank you, Jim. I am. Good morning, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'm speaking to you today amidst the worst crisis this union has faced since its conception, and certainly the worst I have seen in my lifetime. So first and foremost, I want to thank all our members who have been at the front line of this dreadful pandemic, taking care of us, looking after our loved ones, and still out there providing a service to all of us in these extraordinary times. Tragically, many of our members have lost their lives to this horrible virus, none more so than our essential workers and London bus drivers, out there just trying to do their job. So my thoughts are with those families who have lost a loved one. Their pain is something I cannot begin to comprehend and something words can never heal. Steve is a friend of mine. He is on the left of our union, and I've been at pains to make sure my campaign and the comments of my supporters have been positive and comradely at all times. Left unity going forward is essential. Of course, the background of a candidate matters. It is never easy to talk of yourself, but I've accepted the reality in putting my name forward. I am from Northern Ireland. My parents are both socialists, both were reps. My mother is from the south of Ireland, Waterford. She went to London as an 18-year-old to train as a nurse. It was a time of no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. My father is from London. He was a young clerk when he met my mother. They moved to Northern Ireland in '68 and I was born in '69. I am a child of the Troubles and my politics is shaped by that time. The unions, in particular the ATGW, offered a home for workers of all community and talked of class issues. Unsurprisingly, my childhood was one of sectarianism on a daily basis. Socialism became my passion. I was fortunate to get a good education and be first generation of my family to get to university. I studied law with the intention of representing working people. I was shocked on reaching Newcastle to find such a class divide between those from private or comprehensive schooling. It felt more obvious to me than the sectarianism I had grown up with in Northern Ireland. I was a student rep at university, active in Amnesty International. Much later, I was proud to be elected twice to the Liberty Council. I opened a law practice in '96, a unionised practice. We helped the local communities, and to this day, the practice still provides welfare benefits advice pro bono to the local communities. In my time as managing partner, the practice grew. It employed hundreds of people over 14 years. We never issued one redundancy notice, even during the 2008 financial crash, and never had a single employment tribunal claim against us. We fought for workers. We all gain our experiences and knowledges from different paths we take. It is how we use that knowledge and experience that really matters. I have been an active member of Unite for almost 20 years and a socialist all my life. I was successful in gaining a position of legal director in 2011. I am now Assistant General Secretary. I have responsibility for legals, politics, membership, young members, Gibraltar, and also the services sector and chemicals, pharmaceuticals, process and textile sectors. Sadly, since the sad and untimely death of Ed Sabisky a few months ago, I have also had responsibility for finance and property. I am proud to be the lead for our union with Show Racism the Red Card and to have promoted them throughout our regions. I sit proudly for Unite on the Labour NEC. After the last General Secretary election, I was also asked to take on the responsibility of being the West Midlands Regional Secretary. I was in the West Midlands for some 18 months. In many ways, it was that role that allowed me to recognise that Unite is far more than departments based in central office and far more than a central London postcode, be that Westminster or Holborn. In asking for your nomination, I hope you will reflect on the breadth of experience I have in Unite and the responsibilities I have taken on in Unite in the most difficult of times. But I am also putting myself forward to you based on my industrial track record, because of the times I've led for Unite and the times I've won for our members. In our great movement, it is never easy to put yourself forward. That is true of our reps in the workplace more than anywhere else. But it can be difficult for paid officials too. It can be difficult to expose yourself to potential criticism for losing or not winning enough. Even my most ardent critic will accept that I have always stood on the side of members, always stepped forward to back members in struggle, and never failed to finish what I take on. I have led for the union on Waterford Crystal, taking the Irish government to the European courts to get pension owed to Waterford Crystal workers. I have led on the Vistian dispute, negotiating millions of pounds of compensation for our members, a result delivered on a 100% yes ballot after mass meetings in Belfast, Swansea and Essex. I have led on repeated British Airways disputes, negotiating the return of workers dismissed after the 2010 dispute, and fighting for the re-engagement of over 50 female crew staff, members of ours, based in Hong Kong, dismissed because they were female and had reached the age of 45, and Hong Kong laws allowed it. On the back of a Supreme Court ruling, I led the negotiations to reinstate all of the SAC members, together with receiving their back pay. I led our outstanding holiday pay case that gained holiday overtime payments for workers throughout our nations. I led our mesothelioma trigger litigation to the Supreme Court to ensure employers could not use insurance loopholes to avoid paying those suffering from mesothelioma. I led Doncaster Stobart's drivers dispute to halt the unfair dismissal of 184 drivers. I led on blacklisting to achieve millions of pounds of compensation for those disgracefully listed by corporate giants. I led the legal fight for Jeremy Corbyn to ensure the right wing of Labour could not prevent Jeremy getting on the second ballot. I led the negotiations with INEOS when they had disgracefully dismissed our conveners and de-recognised us. After many mass meetings on site, we kept the members together and won recognition back. I defended our union when Gerard Coyne challenged the last election to the certification officer, ensuring our democracy and the good name of our union was upheld. And in 2017 and then again in 2019, I led Birmingham bin workers against the Labour Council that sought to cut the wages of low-paid bin workers from 19,000 to 16,000 a year. We beat them in 2017, only to find that they had disgracefully made secret payments to GMB workers who had not taken strike action. We won again in 2019. Two disputes fought against the largest council in Europe. They were fought on the picket lines, in the media and in the courts. I never wavered from backing our members in struggle. I was honest about how the council did not deserve to be called Labour. Labour is not a badge and it is not a brand. I put our members first, as you would expect. And most importantly of all, I have ensured that there has never been a single repudiation of members in struggle under the leadership of Len McCluskey. There have been hundreds of threats, there have been court actions, and all have been rejected and defeated. So I am here before you today saying I have the experience and ability to be your candidate for General Secretary, and that I will always stand on the side of members. I am asking you to judge me on my record. But I am also asking you to support my ambitions for our union moving forward. I have taken the decision to make public the manifesto conversations I would be having with our lay executive and throughout our union, should I be elected to follow them. It is vitally important that a General Secretary candidate is not saying to different groupings what they want to hear, but offers a clear and transparent future for our union for you to decide upon. My view of the structures of our union were formed by my time as a regional secretary in the West Midlands. I came into a region that had intentionally been neglected by Coyne for the purposes of ensuring right-wing control. Despite the vocal attempts by some of the best of left comrades, Coyne had ensured that the West Midlands was flat, devoid of activity, absent of political schools for 15 years. There was an urgent need to bring in new officers, to unite existing officers and organisers, to embrace black and ethnic minority communities, to find champions across all of our membership, and an urgent need to show the union was there to fight for members. I have listened to those in the region who felt I moved too quickly with change. But by the time I left that region, we enjoyed national prominence for the most difficult of industrial and political disputes. We had an officer corps more reflective of the black and ethnic minority membership. We had left committees in place, had active recruitment of young members to positions of reps, and had the first young member as a regional chair, who is also the first black and ethnic minority regional chair of our union. It is this experience that has proven to me that our resources must be targeted in our nations, our regions, and our sectors. That is where we can truly win for our members, not in the departments of Holborn. As your candidate, I would run an agenda of building on the tremendous strike fund that Len has created, putting more resources to members in struggle, and encouraging our regions to create strike funds and hardship funds. I would resource and expand our Unite Benevolent Fund to look after members in struggle, including ensuring they have welfare benefits advice. I would look for organising to have a closer relationship with the regions, to work across lay sectors, to reflect how integrated and independent our sectors are. I would introduce anti-racism organisers to have equality-based campaigns. I would launch a rep and convener-based apprentice scheme to target underrepresented groups, particularly women and BAME communities. I would reintroduce a young persons coordinator and build on the work at Sheffield University, ensuring we for young people, many of whom are in precarious work. And I would look to offer more support for reps, greater access to modern technology, but also greater access to officers. I would look to achieve this by reducing the member allocation to officers, allowing the regions to develop their existing membership units to service individual members, and so allow breathing space for officers to develop and support reps in the workplace. I will ensure an overhaul of our education materials to make sure they are industrial and political, with anti-racism at its very core. I will make sure no department operates in silos, but instead interact and coexist. Our political schools must find our community and industrial champions to be our voice in the political corridors, not just in Westminster, but in the governments of our nations and in the councils of our regions. I will support and expand community membership, stretching our industrial branches and political schools back to the communities. I would encourage Wales as a nation to follow Ireland and Scotland and seek its own executive. And I will use new methods of communication. You will have a YouTube channel, one that truly stretches across all of our nations and regions, one that appeals to young people, our BAME and equalities communities, one that is diverse, one that speaks for disputes, one that our regions, nations and sectors embrace, and one that allows our retired members to know everything that is going on in our union. Only by following the example of Corbyn in 2017 can we speak directly to our class and to truly persuade them that there is another way. And finally, comrades, I will hold Labour under Starmer to account. Our money will not be taken only for our voice not to be heard. I will not allow the broken narrative at the right wing to succeed. I will offer an alternative. All of us can and must speak for a society that does not turn on the working class to pay for every crisis. We must talk of a more equal society. We must take example from those who in 45 refused to accept pre-war conditions at a time when national debt was 3 times the percentage size of national debt today. They built 1 million council houses, nationalised the mines, built the NHS and the welfare state, and fought for access for their children to third-tier education. We must realise that from this moment of crisis is the opportunity for us to talk of essential and key workers after crisis as much as in crisis. We must have confidence that it will be working people who will rebuild our nations. And in rebuilding our nations, we demand a new deal that gets rid of zero-hour contracts, precarious work, that creates secured and skilled jobs, that sees carers, nurses, teachers, young doctors valued. A society that looks to wealth taxes before VAT. A society that sees new jobs throughout our sectors. A society that builds homes and offers hope. And Starmer's Labour must come with us. They must speak for us in these issues, or they will become an irrelevance to our members. But regardless of Labour under Starmer, now is the time for our members' voice to be heard. And if you nominate me as your candidate, I will never stop fighting for their voice and their power to be heard. Solidarity.